Do you want to master Xcode? Do you want to become a great iPhone or Mac OS developer? In this video, I'm going to be talking about Xcode 16 productivity shortcuts that you can leverage to speed up your workflow in Xcode, to work with multiple files, to find the files that you need, and then some cool little tricks that I use when I'm finalizing a PR for code review. Hey, it's Paul Soltz from Super Easy Apps. And if you want to get access to any of these keyboard shortcuts that I demonstrate in this video or some of the related videos on Xcode keyboard shortcuts, click the link down below. So you should see that right down below me. And that's going to give you access to the content that's up here. That is all of, I think, 53 or so keyboard shortcuts. And it's subject to change because I might add or remove things. But you can get access to all of these keyboard shortcuts so that you can print it out and put it on your wall. So let's dive right into productivity keyboard shortcuts that are going to make you more efficient in Xcode. First section that we're going to discuss is navigation in Xcode. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is to open quickly. Open quickly is a game changer if you want to keep your hands on the keyboard. So a lot of these, almost all of these, are about keeping your fingers on the keyboard. So let's talk about that. Okay, so open quickly is about opening a file as fast as possible. That's going to be a Shift Command O, and then so it will remember what you last typed, which is super helpful. We can search for the date helper, and this will bring me right to my date helper. We could search for the recipe details view controller. So these are just different screens that I know I have in here, and if I just start typing, it will suggest things, though it does have to start with the first letter. So let's see if we can get that. Where'd it go? Recipe, and then VC. So one of the nice things about this is you can just type part of the word and then it will match on other portions, though you can't just type VC. So I tried typing just VC, no matches. If I had done RVC, we would have seen the recipe details view controller appear, and then pressing that will allow us to open it up directly and look for something in this file that we can leverage. That is open quickly. Jump to definition is a great shortcut. So I use Vim mode. So I'm using the HJKL keys to move up and down and left and right. And if I get to something like this unit slider and I want to jump to definition, I can just do Control Command J. And that's going to take me right to this unit slider. It's a UIKit view that I created. And then this will allow me to look around this file, find what I need to find, and stuff like that. So that's jump to definition. The alternate way of doing something like this, I'm going to show you real quick, is jump to definition with the mouse. And so this is going to be a command and then click on whatever symbol you want. So let's go to section header. I'm going to hold the command key and click on it, and that's going to take me to the section header. And this is a little Swift UI view that allows us to do all the fun section header stuff that you're seeing like in this. Okay, so going back is essential as well as going forward. So I'm going to show you both of these together. So it's going to be Control, Command, and left and right arrows. So this, we can go back to the recipe details view controller. We can go back to the date helper, back to logger where I started. And then forward, we can go in the reverse direction, just using the left and the right arrows. I use this all the time. It's very useful. You'll see this shortcut appear in other apps and other screens, so I highly recommend learning it. Next up, we've got Reveal in Project Navigator. So if I've got multiple tabs open, let's say I opened another tab by doing an option click to create a new window here, and I'm working between these two files. Let's say I'm clicking between them, and I've got so many files, or maybe I'm on the repository view, so I'm looking at the Git history and stuff like that. And I want to figure out, okay, where is this file in the view hierarchy? If I've got hundreds of files, this is a big problem when I was at GoPro, trying to get to where that file is in the Navigator so that I could edit it or find related files that I know are nearby. I would do Shift Command J. That takes me right to it, and I see it down here. This is the section header. Okay, so then if I know section headers in here, I know that section header is near like the amount unit slider. And so I can sort of work on both of those files at the same time, and I can get back to them. So that's what Reveal in Project Navigator is useful for. And it changes your focus. So the other big thing is now my focus is over here, so I can move around. All right, so that's our navigation section. We learned about the open quickly, which is Shift Command O, lets you jump anywhere. We learned jump to definition based on where you are in the editor. We can jump to the definition, so we could just click here and then jump to add subview, go to that definition. We can go backwards and forwards with the left and right mouse button or left and right arrows. And then we can reveal in Project Navigator to just see where it is here with those keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so up next, we've got some editor shortcuts, and I'm going to show you how to work with multiple panels on the screen at a time. And the first one is new editor. So I created a new editor by alt-clicking on something, but you can do the same thing, just bringing up a brand new editor of the same file that allows you to have then two files, which is useful when you're like editing at the top and editing at the bottom. So we're going to do Control-Command-T, and now we have two editors with the same file. And then if I use the open quickly that we learned before, we could now open up the brew progress Swift file, and we could work on that. And that's just super useful. Next up, we've got the new editor below. So you can add multiple, we saw with the previous keyboard shortcut, that's Control-Command-T. We can add a third one on the right. If I don't want that, and I want to go below, this is the other option. Now, it's going to depend on which configuration we have. In this case, we're going horizontal, but I can add a below to this one, or I can add a below to this one. And so I'm going to do Control, Option, Command, T, and that's going to add one down below. We could add one more below this file down here at the bottom. So let's do a Control, Option, Command, T, and then we, sorry, I did the wrong one. To add another one below this, we have to revert back to the previous one, which is Control, Command, T, and that'll keep adding them in this configuration. We can close those. And if I'm over here, we could add another panel on the right side with the, or down below. So since this one is in the sort of horizontal configuration, if we do this, it will be below, and that will be Control, Option, Command, T. So now I can have four different views. We can select four different files and work on these different files and help us understand what's going on here. Okay. Now, when you have multiple files open, you want to be able to navigate between them quickly. And so to do that, we can move our focus around with the Control, and then it's the backtick or the tilde key. And so you just hit that, and it's going to switch between all of these different files. So you can see that I'm in this file, and then if I do it again, I'm now in this file down here. If I do it one more time, where is my cursor? It was up top. For some reason, it was off screen, and then do it again. It's like not remembering the last, because I didn't have a cursor position. It was defaulting to actually going into the top portion, which was a little bit weird. So it looks like to get that to work properly, I don't know if that's a bug, you need to click in the file. Okay, so that's moving focus. Up next, we've got move focus to editor. Now, this is another way of doing that same thing, but it gives you precise control of where you want to go. And then we use the Vim keyboard shortcuts, which are H, J, K, and L, to move up, down, left, or right. So H and L are going to move left and right. And I don't know why those keyboard shortcuts are not appearing. Oh, I'm not using special keys with them. So it is H and L to move left and right, and then it's J to move down and K to move up. And then all you have to do is press enter, and now your focus is here, and we can start writing down here. Okay, so that's move focus to editor. Next up, we have close editor. So we can close the editor by doing Control-Shift-Command-W. Now, if you get this wrong, you can accidentally, if you hit Q, you will quit. So just be careful with this. So let's say I have too many editors open. I just want two, or just I want to close one of these. Let's start with just closing one. It's going to be Control-Shift-Command-W. So it's a little bit of a claw action. And that's going to close that bottom one. Now we're left with this, this, and this. Now let's say I want to focus on, what do we have open here? Let's say I want to go back into my recipe details view controller. This is the only one that I want to have open. That's where we're going to get into our next keyboard shortcut, which is close other editors. So when you know that you're done with all of the other editors, you can use this one, which is going to be really stretchy to press. So it's going to be Control, and that probably should be Shift, Option, Command, W. And to do this, I'm going to have to use my middle finger to get that W. This is a really awkward one. So I'm probably never going to use it because it is so hard to press, unless I like T-bar something. I don't even know if I can do that. It's really hard. So we closed all the other editors. We're good to go. All right. So those are some keyboard shortcuts that will help you with your editors. If you want to open a new editor, it's just going to be Control Command T. You can open a new editor below that one by tagging in the Option key. That'll open it down below. We can move our focus with the Control backtick. And you can see that is moving the focus. For whatever reason, I was running into an issue where it wasn't selecting text. Now it seems to be doing that. So it's moving the focus around. And then we can move our focus to an editor where we can use the Vim keyboard shortcuts to sort of move around, press enter, and we are in that file. And we can move around using Vim. And then closing the editor is going to be that Control-Shift-Command-W. That'll close the editor. And if I want to close everything, all the editors except the one that I'm active in, then that's going to be this really gnarly close shortcut. Okay, so those are editor shortcuts. And now I want to cover 2 pro tips. These are 2 tips that are super helpful. First one is quick actions. Now, this is a newer shortcut that I don't use routinely, but it is helpful for finding certain things that don't have keyboard shortcuts. So I've been working with StoreKit, and I've got StoreKit in-app purchases that I'm working on for Brew Coffee. And the StoreKit has a menu up here, Debug StoreKit Manage Transactions. There's no keyboard shortcut out of the gate for that, but I can open it up using the keyboard if I do the Shift-Command-A keyboard shortcut, and then I type in StoreKit. We'll see that this appears, press enter, and that will bring up the manage transactions, and I can see all the transactions for the simulators as well as my physical devices. So I can see what's here, and if I want to on some of these, I should be able to refund them, and then I can see how my app behaves. So that is a quick action, super useful. The first time you open it, I think it does give you some suggestions. So it's worth taking a look at. If there's something that you're not sure what it is, you can just start typing and try and sort of find something that's going to help you. Okay, so that's the first pro tip that I'm going to give you. And then the second one that I'm going to give you is Filter and Navigator. And there's sort of 3 things that we can do with Filter and Navigator. We can cut down the number of files that we see on the left. This is our Navigator panel over on the left. And we can also filter by, did you open this file today? And did you modify this file since your last git commit or whatever version control you're using? So let's take a look at this. Now, you might not see this right away, but I'm going to do, this is going to be the Option Command J, and I have to have focus here, Option Command J. The keyboard caster was covering this up, but now my focus is down here if you look on the far left, it's down in that bottom corner. And now I can start typing. So let's say I wanted to find something related to formatting. I could start typing format, and just typing form, it's going to filter all of the files that I have here. And doing that, I can then choose which file I want to go to if I'm trying to decide, okay, where are these different files, and click between them. So that's one thing that you can do with this keyboard shortcut. The other thing that I find more useful, let's bring it up again. So it's going to be the Option Command J. We can back out what we previously had so we see all of our files again. And now what I can do is if I hit Tab, that's going to highlight this little clock icon. And then there's one more icon. We're going to talk about both of these icons because these are extremely useful. So if I press Spacebar now, it's going to show me all of the files that I've looked at today. And this is super helpful at getting back to something that you were just playing around with. So when you've got tons of files in Xcode, this is super helpful for cutting through the noise and finding those files that you know you want to explore or that you looked at previously, and you can go back to them. The last one that we're going to talk about, if I do this keyboard shortcut one more time, so Option Command J, I'm going to hit Tab. I'm going to unselect the recents. You can stack these two, but I'm just going to switch it over to the Show Version Changes, or this is called Show Changed Files Only. And if we press Spacebar here, I can see all of the files that I've touched. So I've got this logger file, I've got the products file that's not in version control, I've got the store file, changes to the app delegate. These are all things that if I'm going to do a PR using the commit dialog, I can quickly go through and find all the differences and clean up anything that I've modified in this version of the app. So that is the last one. So those are the two pro tips. Remember, the quick actions is going to allow you to discover any feature in Xcode, even if there's no keyboard shortcuts. It keeps your hands on the keyboard. And then filter in Navigator is going to allow you to do three different things. You can filter to find a subset of the files that you want to look at on the file system, or you can look at what you've looked at recently, or you can look at what you've changed since your last commit. And you can combine those last two or all three of them to really filter through all of the files in your project when you're working in a large project with millions of lines of code. All right. So thanks for watching. We learned about navigation in Xcode. We learned about some editor shortcuts for opening and closing windows. And then we learned some pro tips that are going to allow you to quickly find features and then find files that you need to work on. Thanks for watching. And if you like this video, I'll have some more Xcode tips in Xcode 16. And I look forward to seeing you in those videos. Thanks for watching.